They taught you to obey, to keep your head down, to swallow every word that burned in your throat, until your voice became nothing but an echo inside your own mind. You were raised to believe that silence was safety, that submission was strength, that if you just stayed in line, life would reward you. But it was all a lie. Every time you bit your tongue, they tightened their grip. Every time you hesitated, they took more. A little more of your power, a little more of your pride, a little more of your soul, until there was nothing left but a hollow version of the warrior you were meant to be. And you let it happen. You let them turn you into a shadow. You let them break you without ever needing chains. They built their power on your silence. Every time you backed down, every time you avoided conflict, every time you told yourself it's not worth the fight, that was another brick in the walls that now surround you. The world doesn't respect the quiet. The world doesn't care about the unheard, and deep down, you know this. You feel it. The suffocating weight of words unsaid, of battles avoided, of a life unlived because you were too afraid to speak, too afraid to demand, too afraid to take what should have been yours. But that ends today, because right now, in this moment, you are faced with a choice. A real choice. Stay quiet and you will be crushed under the weight of your own hesitation. Keep obeying, keep holding back, and watch your life get stolen piece by piece until there is nothing left but regret. Or break the chains. Rip the tape off your mouth. Burn the script they wrote for you, because no one is coming to hand you power. No one is going to step aside and invite you to rise. You either take it or you stay exactly where you are. Silent, forgotten, disposable. Is your moment of war, the war against hesitation, the war against fear, the war against the weak, obedient version of yourself that they spent years crafting. You don't have the luxury of patience. You don't have time to wait for the right moment. The right moment is now. The only moment is now. Your silence has been their greatest weapon. Now, it will be their greatest fear. Because when a man who has been silent for too long finally speaks, his voice is an earthquake. When a woman who has been held down for too long finally stands, she is unstoppable. This world has robbed you of enough time, enough opportunities, enough of your damn soul. Now you take it back. Now you make them hear you. Now you remind them who you were always meant to be. No more silence, no more waiting, no more excuses. The war starts now. You want the truth? The real, unfiltered truth? Then listen carefully, because this will be the most brutal wake-up call of your life. You weren't born weak. You weren't born afraid. That was programmed into you. You were trained to doubt yourself, to hesitate, to second-guess every instinct that told you to fight back. And you fell for it. You let them mold you into something docile, something predictable, something they could control. But let me tell you something right now. Your hesitation is their throne. Your fear is their foundation. Your silence is what keeps them in power. Every empire is built on the backs of those too afraid to rise. Every tyrant survives because the masses would rather bow than bleed. And you've been bowing your whole life. You think your struggles are unique? You think you're the only one who feels stuck, suffocated, caged? Look around. The world is full of people just like you. People who had fire in their hearts once, but let it die because they were too afraid to step into the storm. The difference between the ones who break free and the ones who stay shackled is one thing. Who has the courage to act? You have spent your life waiting for permission. Permission to be strong. Permission to be heard. Permission to take control. And guess what? It's never coming. Nobody is going to hand you power. Nobody is going to look you in the eye and tell you now is your time. No one cares. The world will walk over you, use you, drain you, and discard you unless you make yourself impossible to ignore. And here's the worst part. You already know this. Deep down, you've always known. Every time you bit your tongue, you felt it. Every time you held back, you knew you were betraying yourself. Every time you let someone talk over you, take from you, dismiss you, you knew. And still, you stayed quiet. Still, you convinced yourself that one day, somehow, life would just get better, that one day things would magically shift in your favor. That day does not exist. Nothing changes until you decide it does. And if you're not willing to claim what's yours, someone else will. That's the law of life. The strong take, the weak wait, the bold rise, the timid serve. You're either the one giving orders or the one taking them. This is not about fairness. This is not about what's right. This is about power. And power only belongs to those who have the guts to reach out and seize it. So ask yourself, are you done being a pawn? Are you done living for someone else's gain? Are you done being used? Because if you are, then stop waiting. Stop hesitating. Stop looking for a sign. This is the sign. Step forward, take control, or stay exactly where you are and let the world keep devouring you. Your move. You feel that? That tightness in your chest? That burning in your gut? That's the war inside you. The battle between the person you are and the person you were meant to be. The version of you that wants to rise and the version of you that's been conditioned to submit. And right now, at this very moment, you are at the breaking point. This is the moment where most people crumble. This is the moment where the weak turn away, convincing themselves that change is too hard, that life is too cruel, that it's easier to stay in the comfort of their chains than to fight for something greater. But you're not here to be like most people. No, you're here because deep down, something inside you refuses to die. Something inside you refuses to be caged. It's been screaming at you for years, clawing at the walls you built around yourself. And yet, every time it tried to surface, you pushed it back down. You buried it under excuses, under distractions, under the illusion that you had more time, that one day you'd be ready. Let me tell you something. You're out of time. Every second you waste is a second you will never get back. Every day you hesitate is a day closer to your grave. Do you understand that? Do you really grasp what that means? There are people out there who are just like you. People with dreams, with fire, with potential. And they ran out of time. They died waiting. They died hoping that one day things would change. But one day never came, and if you don't wake up now, neither will yours. Look around you. Look at your life. Look at where you are versus where you should be. Be honest. No more lies. No more pretending. Is this the life you wanted? Is this the best you can do? Is this all you were meant for? No. Because deep down, you know you were meant for more. You know you were meant to build, to conquer, to dominate, to carve your name into the bones of history. But you let fear stop you. You let failure break you. You let the opinions of people who don't even matter dictate how you live. And the worst part? They're laughing at you. Every single person who ever doubted you. Every single person who looked down on you. Every single person who told you that you weren't good enough. They were never afraid of who you are now. They were afraid of who you could become. They saw your potential before you did. That's why they tried to keep you small. That's why they fed you lies. Because the last thing this world wants is another warrior rising from the ashes. So ask yourself, are you going to prove them right? Are you going to let them win? Are you going to stay on your knees while life spits in your face? Or are you going to break? Not in weakness, not in surrender, but in the way a dam shatters under pressure. In the way a beast breaks free from its cage, never to be tamed again. This is your moment. Right now. The pain you feel, the rage that's been boiling beneath the surface for years, the regret of wasted time, use it. Let it fuel you. Let it turn you into something unstoppable. Because this is the breaking point, the point of no return, the moment where you either forge yourself into something unbreakable or you stay exactly where you are, weak, afraid, and waiting for a day that will never come. You don't get to escape this choice. You don't get to pause. You don't get to pretend you didn't hear this. You either rise or you rot. So what's it going to be? You feel it now, don't you? The fire, the fury, the undeniable truth crashing down on you like a war drum pounding inside your skull. This is it. This is the moment, the point where you either step into the fire and let it forge you into something unbreakable, or you turn back, crawl into the shadows, and live the rest of your life knowing you chose weakness. But I know you. I know what's burning inside you. I know because I've been there, standing at the edge of everything I feared, staring down at the life I was too afraid to claim. And I know exactly what it takes to cross that line. You think strength is something you're born with. You think warriors are made in comfort. No. Strength is built in the fire. Warriors are born in war. And right now, you are standing in the middle of your battlefield. This is where everything changes. You've been carrying weakness like a disease, feeding it with excuses, protecting it with self-pity. It's time to kill it, right here, right now. No hesitation, no mercy. Because if you don't, it will devour you. You will not wait until tomorrow. You will not promise yourself one more day of comfort. You will not keep pretending that you can ease into this transformation. That's not how it works. You either cut the chains now, or you never do. The pain, the struggle, the exhaustion, let it hit you like a tidal wave, and instead of drowning, stand the hell up and face it. Because this is the price. This is the cost of power. You want freedom, you want dominance, you want a life worth living, then you better be ready to suffer for it. Most people can't handle that. Most people will crawl back into their cages because they'd rather be comfortable in chains than bleed for their freedom. But not you. You're here, you're listening, you're feeling this fire for a reason. That reason? You are done being the victim. Victims wait. Victims hope. Victims look to the sky, praying that someone will save them. Warriors don't wait. Warriors don't hope. Warriors take. And today you take your power back. Everything they stole from you, your confidence, your pride, your voice, you rip it from their hands. Every moment you wasted in doubt, in fear, and hesitation. You make up for it right now by refusing to waste another second. You don't ask for permission, you don't wait for approval, you don't explain yourself, you move, you act, you attack. The old you is dead, the weak you is gone. The one who hesitated, buried. From this moment forward, you walk like a weapon, you speak like a warlord, you move like a force of nature that cannot be stopped. This is the turning point, the line in the sand, the moment that separates who you were from who you are about to become. You don't get to go back. You don't get to unhear this. You don't get to pretend. You don't know exactly what needs to be done. Now rise. You've stepped through the fire. You've shattered the illusion. You've buried the weak version of yourself in the dirt. Now, you become the force they fear. There is no turning back, no hesitation, no remnants of the old you to cling to. That version of you, the one that bowed, the one that waited, the one that made excuses, is dead. Burned to ash in the war you just fought within yourself. Now, you rise. Not as a person, not as a dreamer, not as a hopeful soul wishing for a better life. You rise as a weapon. Because that's what this world respects. That's what this world fears. Not words, not promises, power. And power belongs only to those who refuse to be denied. Look around you. Every throne ever built, every empire ever raised, every ruler who ever commanded this world, it all came down to one truth. Those who are willing to take it, get it. And now, it's your turn. Because from this moment on, you don't think like the rest of them. You don't move like them. You don't live like them. You don't break like them. Pain, that's fuel. Suffering, that's sharpening your edge. Resistance, that's proving you're on the right path. You are no longer someone who waits for opportunities. You create them. You are no longer someone who lets fear dictate your path. You control it. Weakness tries to creep back in. You crush it. Doubt whispers in your ear. You drown it out with action. The world throws obstacles in your way. You bulldoze through them. This is what separates those who live with power from those who live as pawns. Most people let life push them. You push back. You are the storm now, the war machine, the immovable force that nothing and no one can shake. You have suffered enough. You have waited long enough. You have spent enough time in the dark, hoping, praying, begging for things to change, that life is over. Now, when you walk into a room, they feel it. When you speak, they listen. When you move, you command. Not because you were given permission, but because you took it. This is the life you were meant for, not the quiet, not the small existence of someone too afraid to step into their own power, but the ruthless, unstoppable dominance of someone who refuses to live on their knees. And from this day forward, you don't stop. You don't slow down. You don't second guess yourself. You move with certainty, with precision, with absolute, unshakable force. They will try to test you. They will try to bring you down. They will try to break you. Let them try. Because you are no longer breakable. You don't fear the fight. You are the fight. And there is no one left who can stop you. This is it. No more questions. No more hesitation. No more waiting for someone to come and save you. No one is coming. No one cares about your excuses. No one's going to hold your hand. No one's going to drag you out of the pit you've been sinking in. That's your job, and your job alone. You either rise or you rot. You either step up or you stay buried under the weight of your own weakness. The choice is right here, right now, and it is final. Because if you walk away from this moment and go back to the life you had before, if you sink back into comfort, if you let fear creep in, if you let those chains wrap themselves around your throat again, then you were never built for this. And I don't care how harsh that sounds, because that's the truth. You don't get to try to be great. You don't get to test the waters and see if power is for you. You don't get to pretend that you're a warrior while still living like a slave. You either commit or you disappear into the background like the rest of them. Forgotten, powerless, insignificant. But if you're still here, if you feel that fire burning inside you, if something inside you is screaming that you were meant for more, that you were never supposed to live as anything less than a force of nature, then prove it. Prove it in the way you move. Prove it in the way you speak. Prove it in the way you dominate every second of your existence. Because from this moment forward, there is no middle ground. You are either the one who takes control or the one who gets controlled. You are either the one who breaks through or the one who gets broken. You are either a weapon or you are nothing. And if you have to think about that choice, if there's even a shred of hesitation inside you, then you've already lost. But if you don't hesitate, if you feel this in your blood, if you've already made your decision, then there's only one thing left to do. Burn the past. Kill the excuses. Rise like the unstoppable force you were always meant to be. Because there is no way out, only forward. If you're asking for more, then you're looking for a way to soften the impact. There is no softening this. This script ends exactly as it should. Like a war drum that stops mid-beat, leaving only silence and a decision. Rise or stay weak.